Revolt for the N64 has got to be the greatest, most fun, bad racing game I've ever played. And just maybe by the time we reach the end of this video, you'll understand what I mean by that. Revolt is an arcadey, goofy, fun racing game designed with the concept that every racer is simply controlling a remote-controlled car. I feel like any kid that's had any sort of RC car growing up has fantasized about racing them against their friends' or siblings' cars, and many probably have, making this a perfect idea for those looking to rekindle fond memories or get the RC car racing experience they never had. When I got my hands on this game, I knew there were two possible outcomes. A, this is just simply another racer on the N64 with an RC car coat of paint, or B, these cars could control as if they're RC cars with highly volatile steering and trouble maintaining high speed while taking turns accurately. Well, I'm happy to announce that this game went with the latter. Playing any amount of Revolt makes it plain as day that you are driving an RC car, which is both to the benefit and the detriment of this game, which we'll get into in a second here. In this game, we have all the racing staples you'd probably expect. We have circuits of varied difficulty to race through, all with 4 races belonging to them, which are a mix of regular and mirrored versions of courses. We've got a time trial mode, because of course a racing game would need a time trial mode, and we have a course editor here as well, which I didn't really expect, but am very happy to see making its way in. Goofy racing games like this that aren't really meant to be taken that seriously can always benefit by letting the players decide how they want the game to play, and a course creator is a great way to allow that. Through completing some of these modes, we can also unlock a great load of RC cars to play around with, some of which have front wheel, rear wheel, or 4-wheel drive. While setting up to play this game, you can also choose how accurate to real RC cars you want the collisions in this game to be, and I just thought that was a fantastic feature. Junior RC mode runs the car at a lower speed and has simple collisions with walls and other racers. This basically just means your collisions will function similarly to Mario Kart or something. Your car collision box and the stage collision boxes are basic shapes, making collisions less of a big deal than some of the more realistic options. The console option is the same as Junior RC, but it runs at a higher speed for the gamers that aren't afraid of a little challenge. Next we have Arcade, which keeps simple collision for the vehicles on the track, but gives more realistic collision styles to the objects and terrains featured in these courses. If you accelerate straight into a wall, you're gonna run your front wheels straight up the side of it. And if you take a shoddy turn over uneven terrain, you're more likely to flip your vehicle straight on its head. Having a more realistic style of collision really makes this game quite fun, as the RC style control is highly unpredictable and very difficult to fully grasp. And then finally we have simulation mode, giving the realistic collision to all the vehicles on the track as well. You can drive your car straight over your opponent's vehicles, and you're bound to get some plain wacky instances of collision through your race versus the other drivers. I personally think simulation mode is the best way to play this game, because it makes the bad just bad enough that it starts to contribute to what's really good in this game. But let's finally get into what this video is titled. Why do I keep referring to this game as good and bad at the same time? Well, let's start with the good. This game is goofy, hard to control, and a lot of fun to mess around with either your friends or even just on your own. There are Mario Kart style items that add to the chaotic mess that this game is, there's personalization in the amount of cars you unlock and are therefore able to pick from, and none of the cups or individual tracks are actually that long, keeping things nice and light as a racing game. Venturing into the reasons I think it might be a bad racing game though, I'll first preface by saying this isn't a bad game at all. It's a good game that might just be a bad racing game depending on what you personally look for in the racers you enjoy. See, Revolt does everything I've talked about beautifully and without fail, but one of the things I've talked about that it does so well is give you poor control over your vehicle. The steering radius is ridiculous, requiring you to barely touch your control stick in order to make an accurate turn in many cases. Your speed seems to be too much for many of the turns you'll be taking in these courses, and your ability to slide out due to high speed, low traction, or a mix of both is unparalleled by any racing game I've played outside of this one. If you're going too fast and you tap a wall with your car, you'll spin completely around. If you decide to brake or attempt a slight drift while entering a turn, you'll spin completely around. If you touch other vehicles, even slightly sometimes, you're gonna spin completely around. As a racing game player that likes to figure out all the ins and outs in regards to the intricacies that many racing games have to offer, there was little I was able to find complete control of within Revolt. yet somehow that makes it so much more fun than it could have been if it were tied down to being a good racer. The chaos just completes this game, and once you finally have a decent race despite it all, you feel like a god, even if you know you probably wouldn't be able to recreate it on a second attempt. I think being a bad racing game made Revolt a better video game overall, and it's one of the most interesting cases for a racing game I've ever had to make in one of my videos. If you like videos like this one looking at old N64 games, consider subscribing to my channel, as that's pretty much what I'm all about over here. Another N64 video I think you might like if you enjoyed this one will be on your screen now, as well as a playlist of all the N64 content I've done so far that you can check out if you wish to see more. Until next Friday, because I do post a new video every single Friday, that's my time. My name's Myloe, and I'm out.